It is considered to be the world's worst submarine disaster. 50 years ago today, the U.S.S. Thresher sank to the bottom of the Atlantic, taking the lives of 129 men. In New London this morning, a group gathered at Mitchell College to remember the crew. News 8's Kent Pierce live in our News 8 newsroom with a look at that moving tribute. Kent?
And Keith, when she was built in 1960, nuclear submarines were very new, and the Thresher was the best and most advanced of them. When she sank on April 10, 1963, it was a huge loss for the U.S. Navy and, of course, for the families of all the men who were on board.
John H. Billing, Robert E. Charon.
The bell tolled 129 times, once for each of the men lost on the U.S.S. Thresher 50 years ago today. This ceremony at Mitchell College was small but meaningful, especially to families who lost loved ones.
It means that we're not forgotten, that my father's sacrifice was not forgotten, and that's very important to me.
The Thresher launched in 1960, but in 1963 was in for repairs at Electric Boat in Groton. She put out to sea on April 10th to take part in deep-sea diving exercises. Then something went terribly wrong. According to naval documents, witnesses said the last communication sounded like air rushing into an air tank. All aboard were killed. Years later, they found the wreckage strewn across the bottom of the Atlantic. The Navy lost 112 men, 17 civilians, and a state-of-the-art nuclear sub during the heart of the Cold War.
Thresher was the newest at the time and probably the most advanced submarine in the world.
The Navy and Electric Boat learned from the disaster, and they've only lost one other nuclear submarine since. Today's ceremony serves not just to remember the lives lost, but since it was held at a college, it's also to educate a new generation.
I came to today's ceremony because of my professor, and his uncle died on the ship, and I learned a lot about the community and that it's really important to remember what happened in the past.
Now, a Naval Court of Inquiry determined that what happened was that most likely a weld on a pipe broke, flooding the engine room, knocking out power, and that's what caused the Thresher to sink. It was a big blow to the U.S. at the time, because think of the timing of it. We're talking about 6 months after the Cuban Missile Crisis, the heart of the Cold War, and this was the pride of the U.S. nuclear fleet. We're live in the News 8 newsroom. I'm Kent Pierce, News 8.